After Hillary humiliates herself in India, Melania got silent revenge with what she did. First Lady Melania Trump, a former model, can make any outfit look like $1,000,000. Every time we see her at a public event, she looks great. Let's face it, it's not the clothes who make the woman, it's the woman herself and how she wears whatever she has on what makes her shine like a star or fizzle like a cheap lighter in the wind. Now, as far as comparing Melania to the former First Lady and 2016 presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, it's not clear where to start. She spends hundreds of thousands of dollars on her wardrobe, which is criticized by many people. She once gave a speech about equality while wearing a shirt that was rumored to cost around $14,000. Many questions were asked about where the money came from to pay for the garment that critics often referred to as a designer potato sack. Was Clinton using taxpayer money to fund her wardrobe? Melania Trump may have seen the news about how Hillary Clinton was falling down steps, injuring her wrist, and needing a trip to the hospital in India. Meanwhile, she kept her cool and proved that she's a very classy First Lady and she's always dressed to impress. This just goes to show you class or style can't be bought. Even though many of the items that Melania wears might also be expensive, she's able to use her own money to buy the outfits, and they are usually never as expensive as whatever Michelle Obama and Hillary Clinton are wearing. She manages to look like a princess while Trump's competition takes a tumble. Melania Trump took a page out of Hillary Clinton's book and wore a pantsuit like no other. She totally pulled it off very well. The Colombian reported more on the unofficial style competition between First Ladies. Paris, Slovenian-born Melania Trump has been unafraid to go against her husband's America First agenda and stay true to her roots, if there's a message to be taken from her bold, foreign-flavored wardrobe in 2017. In the last year, Mrs. Trump has worn the clothes of her home continent as several American designers publicly refused to dress her in what was a fashion industry-wide backlash against her unpopular spouse. The First Lady to be born in continental Europe, Trump grew up in Sevnica in Slovenia, in the southern Balkans, just over 60 miles from the Italian border. Her first real taste for fashion came while living in Paris as a young model in the mid-1990s, years before she got U.S. citizenship in 2006. From designs by Dolce & Gabbana, Del Pozo, Christian Dior, Emilio Pucci, Givenchy and Valentina to daringly high Christian Louboutin heels, the 47-year-old First Lady's touchstones have not only been the old world, but its most established, and expensive, design houses. As the wife of a billionaire, Mrs. Trump can afford to spend into the five figures for a garment and seems unconcerned about how that squares with President Donald Trump's political base. Since becoming First Lady, Mrs. Trump has chosen Hervé Pierre, a French-born immigrant, as her fashion advisor. Politics be damned, he's helped her hone looks that emphasize the sleeve, eye-popping colors and big sunglasses, and show off her svelte, 5'11" frame and thick, dark hair. In the news, we speak a lot of politics, so if for a moment we can forget about it and enjoy something else, why not? Pierre told AP. Mrs. Trump's old school, dressed to the nines glamour and full fabrics evoke distance not only in how far the clothes have had to travel, but in perceptions that the First Lady, who only moved to the White House in June and rarely speaks publicly, is reserved in her persona. Not since Jackie Kennedy has a U.S. First Lady had such a European aesthetic as Mrs. Trump. Although she wore Ralph Lauren to the inauguration and has also shown a penchant for U.S. brands such as Michael Kors and Calvin Klein, many of her looks have been foreign designed and assembled. It's a striking contrast with Michelle Obama, who famously used her First Lady wardrobe as a way of championing often young American designers, and with Laura Bush and Hillary Clinton, who stuck closely to U.S. fashion brands. Most of Mrs. Trump's clothes are bought off the rack from a retailer without the design house's knowledge that the garment is destined for the First Lady. This is highly unusual, and contrasts with Mrs. Obama's frequent collaborations with designers. Perhaps it's not Mrs. Trump's choice, given her husband's unpopularity. People from 17 fashion brands that Mrs. Trump wears declined to comment on the First Lady when contacted by AP, even though she is among the world's most photographed women. It's a deafening silence, especially given that it's an industry Mrs. Trump actually worked in. Walking the path of both foreign and highly priced glamour presents its share of risks for any First Lady. Mrs. Kennedy was criticized for wearing Parisian stalwart Chanel. But in an America First administration, Mrs. Trump is particularly vulnerable to criticism as her husband assails immigration and plays to blue-collar supporters. While the fashion press gushed over a brightly colored, floral D&G silk coat Mrs. Trump wore in Sicily in May, political commentators didn't have such a rosy view of the garment's over $50,000 price tag. It cost, they pointed out, more than the average annual U.S. household income. Mrs. Trump was criticized for a Marie Antoinette-style wardrobe as the president's ill-fated attempt to repeal Obamacare was being considered, an effort that might have stripped millions of people of insurance. If there's a message in Mrs. Trump's fashion, it's that she dresses to look good, in keeping with the expensive personal taste she's acquired since marrying Trump in 2005. She does not concern herself with what others think about her fashion and always stays true to herself, Stephanie Grisham, a spokeswoman for the First Lady, told AP. Mrs. Trump wears what she likes, and what is appropriate for the occasion.